Go into your history. Go into your beliefs about yourself. This year I've had the blessed opportunity to turn 40. Whew, 40. I can't even begin to tell you the growth of my soul and my very, very real reaction between what it is that my soul wants to do in life and what it is that my ego wants to hide from. What it is that my ego says, oh no, you can't do that. Remember, Erica, you come from this kind of background. Remember, Erica, you are a victim. Remember, Erica, you are fill in the blank. But 40 changes that. 40 gives you the perspective that says, ha! Okay, you've gone halfway. You've traveled halfway through the cycle through the Uranus transit. Right? I think it's 84 years. So 40 to 42 out is halfway through. And you get an opportunity to look at yourself and say, shit, there's so much that I have to give and so much that I have been afraid of to give or be or own, or I've been afraid to stand up and actually say, oh, this is actually who I am and this is actually what I want to do and I'm going to do it. And you're either with me or you're not. Yeah, that's your soul. But your very human place, your very fear-based ego place has all the reasons why you can't. And so today, the new moon brings all of that shadow up. Brings all of that shadow into this place of shaking and movement. And maybe you're second guessing things right now for you. Maybe everyone and everything that you care for and you love and you are here to take care of right now is crashing and burning. Or maybe you are the one that's crashing and burning for all good reasons. Truthfully, if you can hold it that way. And so the stickiness of the shadow comes out. We get stuck in a web. It's truly a web of lies. It's truly this web of your human existence feeding back to you this regurgitation of vomit, this regurgitation of you're this, you're that, things that you have just feared and continue to ride on and stay in and stay stuck in and incapable of this and incapable of that and too afraid to do this and want to do that, but you just can't, blah, 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 blah. You know what this feels like. Even if it is just in the back of your mind, you know what this feels like. There is a call that is happening now for us. It started, the Mayan calendar ended. Hello! It's because that time and space ended. And now we are in a new time and space, a new turning over. The turning over of the Pachacudi, the Pachamama, the great turning over. Right? And what happens when we turn over, and it's very interesting to be an earthworm in a turning over of the earth, is that we have to rise to the top. We get unearthed. Here comes the plow and just unearths us. And we have to remember who we are. We have to remember that, the Mother Earth is here to hold us. And we have sisters and brothers around us that help us. And we are here to do a particular job. We need to go back into the earth and make, they call them castles, these absolute beautiful castles, because we have to remember who we are and that we are here to do a bigger job than just hang out and be afraid. And be the response, be the bystander, the the one who just takes our history and says, well, this is what was handed to me. Why or how dare you could ever expect anything from me other than the shit that I endured for the first years of my life. Or maybe you have a very, very special experience in your childhood, like I had. I love this experience because it sucks so hard. Recently, I just wrote a blog about it, but they were in the meanderings of my 21 days in healing from hip surgery. So once I get an opportunity to go back and look and reread and edit that, then I will have the opportunity to share that with you. But the very real space that women carry within us is this space where we are, now not all of us have this, absolutely not, but some of us do, and it is debilitating. The space where we were not expected to be much. We truly, there was not, the expectations that were put upon us were very, very fundamental. They were to be the nurturer, right? To be the mother, to be the caregiver, to be able to cook, to be able to clean, to also look beautiful. Don't forget this part. To be an absolute sex pot, to be pleasant to, for others' enjoyment, whether that's in our demeanor, in our sexuality, the way that we look, the way that we act, And at least in my family, and I see it in lots of other families, and I don't know if this is true or not. This is just what I sense and feel, and I would love for feedback here about your particular upbringing and how this kind of got into there. But it was about this place of, you're just a girl. You're just a girl, and we don't expect much from you. I was not expected to be good in school. If I was, fabulous. If there were other girls, around me, fabulous, great. I was born in 1976, and so going to school in the 1980s, it just kind of was like, okay, if she does, great. If she doesn't, okay, well, then she's just going to be a mother and a wife, and let's hope she has that ability, right? Because, that was just the default for women, the default for girls. Nothing more was expected of me. And I was raised by, my mother was the child of first generation immigrants. And my grandfather, he left Sicily, I think when he was 14. Apparently the story goes that my grandfather's father, my great-grandfather, this is on my mother's side, left Sicily because my great-grandfather was a raging alcoholic, and apparently my great-grandmother said to my grandfather, you need to leave or he's going to kill you. Now, there's this age-old story that goes, when the boy gets old enough and he wants to protect his mother and his sisters, the father, if he is, out of his wits or incapable or doing things against the mother, then the son rises up. The son rises up and says no more. Well, I have a feeling that, this is the way that the story goes. Who knows how it really went, but that my grandfather, was told to leave because, things were bad. And I have no idea what happened to that family. And my mother's mother, my grandmother, she was actually an orphan in Boston. And the story goes there is that she had they're both passed, but she had a twin sister. And when they were born, their mother died, who was an immigrant. first generation immigrant from Italy, I guess. And she died, and the family had friends who were willing to take one of the babies, but not the other. So my grandmother was put in an orphanage in Boston, and her sister was raised by a family that was local, actually, and they were not raised together, but they eventually became in contact, and they continued to foster a relationship as they both got older. Apparently, the story goes that my grandmother's, so their father, the twins' father, so that's my grandmother's, my mom's mom, their dad married another woman and did not want to take on these infants. And so that's the way that is. And so, in that sort of uneducated society, family structure, and society where, the immigrants, they were in survival mode. Get a house or get a job. Be able to go one day to the next with heat, food. Education was, fourth in line there. And so I was raised in the same mentality. And I wonder how many of you were also raised in that mentality. You think 1976 we would be raised with a different mentality, but no. My mom was not. She was one of the only children to graduate from high school. And that was a big deal. Big deal. She was one of 14 children. Yeah, amazing. And she was one of the only ones to graduate high school. And then as soon as she graduated high school, her mother actually died when she was 20. So, her job in life, what was passed to her was be a mom, get yourself a husband, and, hold on for dear life and handle the survival pieces. Education was on the back burner. Education wasn't, it was a luxury at that point. So, being raised in that mentality, the daddy's little princess mentality comes out of that. Because, as we were raised in the 70s and 80s, I graduated high school in 1999, it was almost like our fathers almost perpetuated you have to be beautiful. And let's hope you get a good husband. And let's hope, if you are able to be educated and you are good in school, then, let's hope that you become a nurse, a teacher, those stable things. And our aspirations were not expected. Our aspirations were not upheld, and we were not expected to even have them. So, leaving where we sit now as women in our 30s, 40s, 50s, you might be outside of that listening to this, but this still is applicable. What was expected of you, what you were expected to contribute in life, could very well be way below the bar of what you actually have the ability to do. Now, let's talk about something really, really real. There are 6 needs in life. 6 needs. And, to sit with these and continue to look at these, you'll start to see where they are met and where they are not. And they're called the needs of the ego. They're like the 4 needs of the ego and the 2 needs of the spirit. And